Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Mav Sports Take, episode 29, your weekly podcast for sports, business, and much more with myself, Ryan Roberts, and Mr. David Turner, 18-year scouting vet, both in the NFL, the Arena League, and up north in Canada. Here we tackle business on a whole nother level. We don't talk fluff here. We talk the behind-the-scenes information that you all need to know. Obviously, we specialize in football, NFL draft to be even more specific. But we have an awesome show for you today. A lot of mailbag questions that we'll be covering today. And we have, like we have been over the last few shows, we have a couple great interviews. We have Mr. Quentin Miners, who, if you checked out the Senior Bowl this year, my man from UW-Whitewater was maybe the most impressive interior offensive lineman, arguably the most impressive offensive lineman in general at the event. A Division III player who did not have a season, did not have a fall. It was pushed to the spring. He made the decision to bet on himself, enter the NFL draft, and then got the opportunity to go down to Mobile, and he absolutely took advantage of everything that he could. He controlled everything that he could control. And, of course, we have to end the show at about 9:15 Eastern time. We got Mr. Eric LeGrand. Speaking as a person who lives in New Jersey, Rutgers football was a struggle for a long time. And then we get the Greg Schiano era with Ray Rice, Brian Leonard, Kenny Britt, a lot of great football players. And then Eric was on the tail end. He was a part of some of those great teams. And he, of course, famously was left paralyzed. And for most people that were in a type of situation that Eric LeGrand was in, they would have felt sorry for themselves. They would have stopped. For Eric LeGrand, though, became a motivational speaker, which he still does to this day, only the age of 30, and he's doing some outstanding things, has a couple of companies that we want to touch base on, which is going to be a whole lot of fun. And before we start, we are live here on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube on NFL Draft Bible. And we want to thank you all so much on behalf of NFL Draft Bible and MaverickSportsConsulting.com. We thank you all, the live viewers. If you have any questions at all throughout this process, when we have some of our interviewees on, you want to throw them a question, throw it into the chat. We love the interaction. And, of course, this long-winded intro to introduce, again, Mr. David Turner. David, how are we today, man? I feel like that was the best intro of all time, personally, but that's just, I don't know.
I loved it. I was sitting here enjoying it. I felt like I was one of our viewers, our listeners. Just like, ooh, I can listen to this guy all night. Sweet. Right. Yeah, no, I'm doing well. It was great. You know, I was actually on the kids show today. I call them the kids because they're so young. I'm sure they'll love that. I'm sure they'll light up the chat room in a minute. But it was great being able to get on there, and they were doing Team Building Tuesdays. Kind of showed them how to build the Eagles up, your resident team, and all the troubles and problems they're going to have with the cap rooms and everything. So it was a fun show today with Lorenz and Jack and Alec and stuff. So it was a great time. Now I get to spend my evening with you and doing maps. So this is a great day for me.
Dude, where would you rather be than spending the evening with me? I mean, honestly, we have some great people in the chat already as well that are friends of the show, including Mr. Dan Cassidy, who is a great man. Evening, gents. Evening to you, Dan. Appreciate you stopping in again. Of course, here comes Jack Dispo trying to throw some shade. This is the old man show. This is the well-seasoned, very intelligent show. It's like what we like to call it. Where's the flannel? The flannel is nowhere to be found, Dan. We got Alec Polito. Shout out to Alec. Hey, Ryan, huge fan. Please rank Alec Polito, Alex Kilstrap, Joe DeLeon, and Zach Gardner. I'll get to that at some point. We have some rankings tonight. We're going to get to that. But I want to bring on our first guest, who I had the opportunity to talk to in the summer. And I hit him up this past weekend, or maybe even beforehand. It was like Thursday or Friday of last week. And I was like, Quinn, I know you're busy. I know everyone's probably hounding you for interviews after what you did in our Mobile, but would love to have you. And he was so nice to, offer up his time here. Now bringing on Mr. Quentin Miners, Quinn, into the stream here. So again, Quentin is a All-American offensive lineman out of UW-Whitewater. If you're not well-versed in Wisconsin-Whitewater, that is one of the powers on the Division III level. They win the national championship almost every single year. That's what they do there. And welcome me in, Quinn, man. Appreciate you again. I know you're busy. I know people are hounding you, but we appreciate you being on Mavs Sports Day tonight with us, my man.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys, and kind of like I said in the text message, hey, you reached out to me in the summer. I kind of carry those things with a little specialty, so I wanted to make sure I got back to you. But yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And we definitely appreciate it. And I'll say, Quentin, I mean, David said I have a great eye for talent. So obviously we saw something in the summer in you, and you made me a very profitable man, obviously, with the performance you had down in Mobile. And I kind of wanted to start you, Quentin, if I can, because I know we talked about this in our first interview, right? We talked about the Division III season getting pushed into the spring. You obviously made the decision that you were ready for the NFL, ready to chase your dreams. So you're ultimately chose to be a part of the 2021 process. So I want to start you just by laying it out for the folks. Why was this the best decision for you? You could have went and played in the spring and maybe been a part of 2022, but you were adamant that you were ready for this jump.
Yeah, I think I took a, kind of an educated, as much as I could gain as much information as I could, with, figuring out, okay, not having a season. So I kind of came up with the plan that I had 3 options here. And that was, transfer to a bigger school possibly and answer the level of competition question, come back to Whitewater, or, hey, I think I've done what I can, and let's do this thing this year. And that's where I came to that decision. I gained a wealth of information from people I talked to throughout the summer and into the fall. And yeah, after talking, just making my own decisions and talking with my dad, that's just that was the decision to make, not to be like a Debbie Downer or not, but, I couldn't guarantee that there was going to be, a Whitewater season, the next year, just, the way the pandemic has been going, it wasn't seem like it was going away like we all kind of were hoping for. So yeah, that's kind of why that decision happened. And the transfer portal does not seem like a fun thing to do. So that was not very, an option that I was like entertaining a lot, but it was if I have to, sure, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, no, and I hear you, man.
You say you don't want to because there's like 1,500 kids that have chosen to take the portal, and that's a subject we've talked about at length here on Mavs. Like, I don't get it. I don't know why going somewhere else is better than being where you're at and being successful where you're at.
That's kind of how my mentality is. Is like I've always wanted to go to a school that wanted me in the first place, and I think you got to go through a process of climbing through the ranks and doing that thing and just staying at your one school. So yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, for sure. Now I don't know, Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if there has been a half shirt craze that it's been stirred up like Quinn stirred up since Britney Spears did her halftime show, with NSYNC, because all I know is the post Senior Bowl, it was like you had this eruption of these half shirts, like, look at me, I'm Quinn from WW and stuff. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. Like, you really started a fashion craze. How does it be? I mean, did you ever see yourself as a fashionista?
No, not really at all. I mean, I've been like I think I'm just like typical lineman style, coming from Wisconsin, I'm wearing shorts and sweatshirt every single day, pretty much throughout the winter. I think it's just a classic big guy thing. It was really interesting to see all those people notice that I had the gut out and have that kind of be like a lot of the things that were being talked about at the Senior Bowl. And I've rocked the gut out since high school, so I was just being myself out there.
No, it showed it, and you look so comfortable with the belly out. And I was like, "This is awesome." I was like, "Here, this is the old school. This is what I'm used to. Like old school offensive linemen that are just like you said, don't tape my fingers, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna throw on a t-shirt and a pair of jeans and roll with it. We'll go play in the dirt lot somewhere." So I loved it. But going down to the Senior Bowl, since we're on that subject, what was one of the biggest takeaways that you were fortunate enough to take away from that event and bring with you so far in this process? And to piggyback on that question, what's the feedback you've been getting from teams that they took away from you on that event?
I would say that the biggest thing that I was able to take away, from the Senior Bowl, there was tons of things I was able to take away. But I would say the biggest thing was I was able to take confidence, of coming out of that event. There was so much, it was like a year, 13 months, 12 months of work all coming to fruition in 1 week. And I have to, do that thing. I'm a new position on the spot of center. So I gained the confidence of, hey, I can tussle with these, big school, big name guys, and not only hold my own, but I think dominate at times. So I think that was the biggest thing I was able to take away from the Senior Bowl.
And what's one thing a team has said they took away from seeing you?
I think they took away that I can play all three of the positions inside. I obviously during our team sessions we only had one other center, which was Creed, and I was the second center. So all the team reps, I was doing center, but I was trying to take advantage of those one-on-ones and stuff, and trying to go in at guard, show hey I can go into a 2-point stance. I've never passed that in a 2-point stance until the Senior Bowl. I've practiced it, but that was my first time ever kind of battle testing it live, against the competition. So it was, hey, I'm doing in left guard, right guard, 3-point stance, 2-point stance, and just trying to be versatile.
Well,
battle testing it live. I love the term battle testing it live.
For real though. I mean, really what it was. And Quinn, that was one of my favorite things was I know when we talked the first time, you had mentioned that you were really practicing snapping a lot because it hadn't been something you'd done, right? Like you had been a left guard your entire career at UW-Whitewater. And for me, you changed I don't want to say you changed my opinion, but like when I watched you play, I think I said this in our first interview. I said I thought you reminded me of Josh Sitton. That was a very solid football player for a long time for the Green Bay Packers, who was a guard, And then I saw you snap, and not only snap but dominate in one-on-ones after snapping, which is a lot harder than people think. By the way, right? Because that is a quick little reaction there. But now I'm like, someone asked me, and I'm like, I think I might like him better at center. I don't know. You start to think the wheels start turning a little bit because you now finally saw it. Like you didn't see it on film.
Yeah, Ryan. We don't want your hamster to start smoking and blow up in your head. So don't think too much. Slow it down. I'm just saying, we just want you to slow down and take a breath. We don't want you to blow up. It's good.
David, this is the new era scout, man. We are thinkers. We aren't just these little guys that sit in rooms, the dark room, and this is all I saw on film. We think, we try to
overthink
change the game a little bit. Nah, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. But I will say, Quentin, moving into this. So you had a great. It's funny too because I want to throw this out real quick on Twitter. It's overreaction Twitter all the time, right?
Overreaction Twitter. Yes.
It's overreaction Twitter all the time. So Levi Onwuzurike got you on one rep that was very early on in the week, right? He got you. Like it happens, and Levi's a great football player.
It was day one, wasn't it?
I know. That's what I'm saying though. So everybody made comments. They said, "Oh, the D3 kid," right? Like that had happened, and then you obviously, dude, like. The rest of the week, you were flawless. Like I felt like I didn't see another lost rep all week. The team drills looked great. But then unfortunately, you have the broken hand and you're not able to play. And then that became a big story is because everyone's saying that you went up to Jim Nagy and you basically said or the coaches, I think it was, you went up to them and said, I want to play. Like I want to play. So first of all, how is the hand working for you? And just that moment, because I know that it is an unfortunate circumstance, but I think for some teams, they looked at it and they said, that kid wants it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just truly, love the game of football. I think, my mentality, whether it's Senior Bowl or week one of Whitewater football, it's you practice so you play in the game. Like that, I think a lot of the mentality around the Senior Bowl is that the game is kind of like the second thing. But like for me, it's like you practice and you grind all week, you learn new things, and you go do it in the game. I was really excited to play in the game. So during our walkthrough on Friday, because I broke my hand on Thursday, Coach Flo comes up to me and he goes, Quinn, I'm not playing you. I'm not playing you tomorrow. And I was like, okay. Okay. So I kind of let it sink in a little bit. And then after the walkthrough, because I didn't want to keep bugging him about it, I was like I tried to, barter a little bit. I was like, can I get maybe a couple series, 10, 15 snaps? Like we can club it up or something, right? I still got, my thumb and finger, like I can play guard. and he just kind of stared at me and just looked at me and then just went, no. And I was like, really? And then he goes, I'll put you in on victory. And I was like, I'll take it. And then that was kind of the end of the conversation. So I was able to get something out of it.
I got to teach him how to negotiate better if all he got was victory.
Yeah, I saw the stare from Coach Flo, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop fighting it now. So yeah, he wanted to just he said he didn't feel comfortable having me go out there and play, and he said that I proved everything I needed to prove. So it was cool to have that type of conversation with Coach Flo.
No, absolutely. And again, you're in a position where you're turning in from a collegiate athlete, obviously, to a professional athlete, and your hands are very important to offensive linemen. So you don't want to go out and compound an issue, in an all-star game. So I commend them for, saving you from yourself from clubbing up and then maybe hurting that hand even more so that you don't, it could hurt your draft stock here. But, Ryan was throwing out comparisons. And for me, when I watched your film and I saw your background, I mean, you really reminded me a lot of an offensive lineman that I was around a lot up at the New York Giants called Richie Schubert. Richie was a guy out of Western Illinois, and we got him up there, and he wound up being a starting guard for the Giants for a long time. I think he had a 9-year career there. Some of it was plagued with injury because of a rare injury he got when he was a rookie or a sophomore season there at New York. But, this is a guy who played 9-10 years in the league. So when I see your body type, your style of play, where you're coming from and everything, I'm like, man, this is Richie incognito. This is Richie again. So that's my comparison to you, because I think you could be just as good as he was when I watch and see your attitude and watch you block.
I like mine better. I like my comp better.
I'm sure you do, because you love to stroke your ego, but that's fine. It's what it is. I just like being right. I don't care. I don't have any ego in this game. I just like being right. So where are you training at? Where did you select to train, and when's your pro day? Has that been set yet? Like how is this going?
Yeah, so I've been training since like the first week of January. I think flew down here to Frisco, Texas. It's right outside Dallas. I'm training at the Epsiode facility here. Been enjoying that. I'll be actually coming back up to Whitewater next week Tuesday, and I'll be having my pro day on March 9th at Whitewater. So looking forward to that.
Has any teams reached out and said they're sending an O-line coach or anything like that to the pro day to work you out?
Not that I'm aware of right now. I'm sure there's a lot of things being kind of figured out, because it was kind of a last second thing where I was going to, for having it at Whitewater. In a normal year, I would be at the Badgers, but that wasn't able to happen. So,
which agent did you select and is representing you?
Ron Slavin with Sports Stars.
Gotcha. I know Ron really well. Gotcha. And how did you go about the selecting process for him?
I pretty much initially, I really had no information, so I just kind of listened to everybody that talked to me. Anybody that wanted to get on a Zoom call over the summer. All I had was time. I would work out. You can only work out so many times in a day, so I just interviewed as many people as I could. And I took notes. I asked the same questions for every person, and I already kind of knew Ron from a teammate of mine, Nate Truen. He graduated in 2018 from Whitewater, and he's been floating around a couple teams in the NFL. So I was able to kind of lean on him a lot for information. And Ron has two Whitewater guys, so Nate Truen and Kumaro, and he's from Wisconsin, Janesville, Wisconsin. Graduated from Whitewater, so he kind of understands that. No, that was kind of the trump card and on a lot of things, that he just understood. Whitewater specifically, but also the small school process, and he's from a bigger agency as well.
I got you. Now, the most important question of the day, though, is where's the best place to get cheese curds in Wisconsin?
Culver's.
Culver's.
I can't wait to go to Culver's. That's a staple. That's a staple up north. I cannot wait to get back up there, and after the pro day, after eating well and for so long, I'm excited to go and get a nice mushroom and Swiss burger, cheese curds, ranch, the concrete, everything.
The concrete. I got Culver's here in Arizona, so now I'm like, I got to go to Culver's and get the cheese curds. I got to go there now.
That's awesome. Well, Quinn, I kind of wanted to end this conversation a little bit just with I saw that you have a T-shirt that's actually out there, or some gear, I should say, Belly of the Beast, which I know is going for a good cause, it seems like. So I just want to kind of open up the floor to just letting you plug it a little bit and just talk about where the idea came from and what the idea is behind the shirts.
Yeah. So coming out of the Senior Bowl, Like my social media stuff kind of exploded a little bit. I was starting to gain quite a bit of following. I would say about like 10,000, almost 10,000 new followers on Instagram alone. And so I wanted to be able to take something like that and put it towards something, that I wanted to do since high school. So my offensive line coach in high school, Paul Shelsta, he has a daughter that suffers from a rare form of GLUT1, and she's trying to find a cure. I mean, she's 14 now, but I mean, she's been doing this an entire life, hasn't been able to live, like just a normal childhood, flying to different doctors all over the country. And, it's just, it's kind of a sad story. And I always want to do something special. So I took, the positivity I was able to generate from the Senior Bowl. Everyone liked the belly thing. So I was like, all right, I can make a shirt or something like that with the belly thing, and then have those profits then go towards, the Shelsta family, and to try to help them out. So it's kind of getting, two things done at once. So I think they're cool shirts. They're pretty affordable, and, it's going to help, someone that means a lot to me. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome, Quinn. I think that's a great way to end the conversation, man. We appreciate you just taking some time with us. I know, again, you're super busy, but it's awesome everything that you're doing, both on the field and off now. And I know I speak for me and David when I say we're wishing you the best of luck. So real quick, social media, where can people find you? And, I know, speaking again from everybody behind the scenes here, we wish you the absolute best of luck moving forward.
Yeah. So Twitter is @QMiners, and my Instagram is @QM6700. And I'll give a little background story of why it's that. Actually, a whole bunch of my friends in high school, we all made Instagram accounts, and it was to go off of Todd Gurley, because this is TG400. So nice. We all kind of made Instagram accounts off of Todd Gurley. So yeah, that's the social media. I like it. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's been fun.
Quinn, I hope to have you back on after the draft to just kind of recap where you land and all that fun stuff that we know you're going to enjoy and it's in your future, young man. So take care of yourself. Be safe.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, for sure. You guys too.
All right, Quinn, have a good one, man.
Yep, see you guys.
All right, so there again, Mr. Quinn Miners from UW Whitewater, All-American over there at UW Whitewater. And obviously, Senior Bowl standout, to say the least. So, David, that is my guy, man. He's a lot of fun. But, he's very nonchalant. He's not assuming, even though he's blown up here the last few weeks. Just really nice conversation, I would say.
Well, in the chat room, this Sammy, I don't know who Sammy is, but she's loving him. So, like she's all about him. So that was fun. No, I enjoyed him, and like I said, when I looked him up and did a comparison for myself, I just kept seeing Richie. Like every time I watched him block with his tenacity, his ability to shuffle, slide, sustain, anchor, sit, like he just looked and reminded me of Richie so much. And Richie came out of Western Illinois, and this guy's coming out of Whitewater. So, Richie went undrafted. This, obviously Quinn's not going to go undrafted. He's going to get drafted, and he's going to have a great career staying healthy. That'd be awesome for him.
Absolutely. And we want to kind of take a quick word from our sponsor. Maverick Sports Consulting would like to say to you, if you're a college looking to improve your recruiting department to maximize the transfer portal, high school recruiting, and junior college transfers to turn your program around quickly, David Turner, of course, has 19 years of personnel experience, 10 years NFL experience managing college scouting departments as well as pro personnel departments. Mavericks is primed and ready to work with your existing staff and coaches to build you a recruiting department that will mirror your efforts in the coaching department. Let David and Maverick Sports Consulting assist you building a championship team in 2021. So we have Mr. Eric LeGrand coming on in about 10 minutes, which I'm very excited about, again, as being a Jersey boy here. David, we had some questions that people posted to us, not only in our brand new, we have I don't even remember what it's called, to be honest. I gotta look it up right now. We had Discord, a brand new Discord channel at NFL Draft Bible. Not only did we have the new Discord channel at NFL Draft Bible, of course I put it on Twitter and have some people open it up to some questions. So we're going to get Eric on here in a few minutes. Wanted to hit some of these questions, though, David. First question. It was my favorite one of the night, I would say. Best David Turner memory. Oh, man. I think that was Jack D that asked me that one. Best David Turner memory. It was probably last podcast. Just kidding. I'm not going to go there. Meeting David Turner. What a blessing that it has been to meet David Turner draft weekend and just find out who he is. I mean, seriously, David, could there have been a better thing in the world than us meeting? I mean, to be honest here.
Well, did you all hear that? That's the divorce papers getting delivered to Ryan's house right now. So just in case you're wondering what that was like, I'm not married, so I don't have to worry about saying that. No, I mean, the best memories so far is just that first draft weekend with Ryan, with you and Rick and Murph and everybody that we were just doing our show, and it was just so much fun. And then going from that into our Friday night scout school and pulling that off together, and now we're doing Mavs, and this is episode 29. And we got some, announcements coming down the pipe on this, and just all the stuff that this year, 2020 was a difficult year by all stretch of the imaginations. It was difficult, but there's been a lot of good things come out of it, and like some lifelong friendships and stuff that, are getting forged here. So, 2021, it's still throwing us curveballs, but at the end of the day, I think it's all gonna work out for the betterment of everybody involved. So this is good.
Absolutely. I think we already have Eric waiting for us. So let's bang out one question real quick before we bring him on. This was an interesting one, David. Someone asked, rate these 4 linebackers as prospects, not necessarily as NFL players, but as prospects. So we have here Roquan Smith, who plays linebacker for the Chicago Bears, former Georgia Bulldog Roquan Smith. We have Devin White out of LSU, of course, Super Bowl champion Devin White for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have Isaiah Simmons, who was a rookie linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals, formerly of the Clemson Tigers. And he's kind of a weird one to throw a monkey wrench into this one because he's not a pure linebacker, right? Like he played safety at Clemson. He played linebacker. Like he's kind of that new hybrid role. So it's a little tough to compare him to a guy like a Roquan Smith to start with. That was just kind of my thoughts real quick on that one. And then Micah Parsons, who of course is coming out of Penn State this year. I'll start the order here, David, in case the wheels are still turning for you. For me.
I got it. I'm done.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Oh, you go first then. Let me hear it.
I got them ranked. I thought we were ranking them. So I have Parsons, Smith, White, Simmons.
Parsons, White. Wait. Say it one more time. Parsons,
White.
Oh, White. Okay.
Smith, Simmons.
Okay. We're actually pretty close. I have Parsons number 1. Dude, I think that he can, I honestly think he could play Mike, Sam, or Will. I think he's that talented. I think he has that upside. He could play any spot in a 4-3, both inside. I think he could play, honestly, outside linebacker in a 3-4 too, honestly, with his background.
I think he could play Will at 3-4. Really, really good.
Dude, he could play anything, I think, honestly. Yeah. I think he could play any linebacker position in a 4-3 or a 3-4. So he would be my first guy. And then I would say second guy, Devin White for me. My dude was insane at LSU. And then he runs a 4.42 at the combine. It's brother, what are we doing here? That should not be humanly possible. At 237 pounds to run a 4.42. That should not be humanly possible. I actually put Isaiah Simmons at 3. Again, it's tough to compare with these guys because those guys are true off-ball linebackers playing in the box all the time. Isaiah Simmons is hybrid, right? His best thing is that he's a versatile piece. He can do things in zone and man coverage in the slot. He can do things even in deep, playing a split field cover 2 role. I think that he's that type of athlete. So he's not a true off-ball backer, but for me, I thought he was a really talented football player last year. I was a big fan. And I actually wasn't the biggest Roquan fan of all time. I liked Roquan, but I think I had an early second round grade on him, which I guess I was a little lower than some people. And, he's a good player. He's a good player for Chicago. He had a very solid season this year, but I just wasn't the biggest Roquan Smith fan of all time. So that would be my top 4. And I know, again, we have Mr. Eric LeGrand waiting, so I want to pop him on now. So, again, in my intro, I talked a little bit about Eric, who was, for me, being a Jersey guy, right? Seeing him and his story of course, a former Rutgers defensive lineman. I know he actually played linebacker and fullback, I believe, in high school. I remember watching a special on him. And we all know the story, right? Paralyzed. But what makes Eric LeGrand such a special person is most people, when that happens to you, would go into your shell and you would just kind of take a step back and it just would change your life drastically. And obviously it's going to change your life in certain instances, of course. But Eric LeGrand is the definition of perseverance, and he has done so many great things. And we're going to get to a few of the things that he's been doing. But before we get into that, Eric, this is honestly such a pleasure. Being a Jersey guy, seeing everything that has gone on throughout your career, you are truly an inspiration, and we thank you so much for joining the show.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yep, you were loud.
Oh yeah, we got you loud and clear. We got you loud and clear.
Thank you for having me on, guys. I'm listening to you guys break down football. I'm getting all excited over here. It's February right now, but I'm getting all juiced up over here, man. It's cool.
Hey, don't even sleep on Maverick Sports Take. We're football 100% of the time. All 365, baby. We are in it to win it. We are building teams, rosters all the way around it. So
we're gonna have to talk about my Broncos because I'm a Jersey guy, but I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. So.
Are you now? We'll get into that then in a little bit. We'll get into some Bronco ball because I like the Broncos right now and what they're doing in their front office and everything. So we'll definitely get there. But really quick, let's talk about the entrepreneur, Eric as an entrepreneur. Let's talk about the entrepreneurships and stuff that you're involved in, what you got going. Because what we love to do here at Mavericks is talk about the business of football. And part of the business is off the field economics, right? And so as a former player, I just want to hear about how you're taking, what these opportunities that have come your way and turned them into entrepreneur stuff off the field.
Yeah. So as a college athlete, you always think about, okay, life after football. What am I going to do after football? Obviously, with my injury, my career got cut short. So I had to plan what I was going to do after. And, with being the person I am and the way I live my life and the support that I have, I was able to do the motivational speaking, sports broadcasting, launch a foundation, write a book, all that good stuff. But, as I get 10 years into my injury, it's like, what's next? And it's funny how I came up with LeGrand Coffee House. The times that we've been living in 2020, I want to figure out a way to bring people together over unity. I say unity to the community. And the way I thought about that is 85% of the world drinks coffee. Why not bring people together over a cup of coffee and be able to talk, about, situations or whatever it is over business plans, foundation plans. So many things come over a cup of coffee. And I want to bring that daily cup of belief into people's lives all throughout the country and hopefully throughout the world one day.
No, I can. You know what? You just said that. What pops in my mind. And again, take it, run with it. I know you will. What about hosting like a weekly coffee shop where people come drink coffee and they network in a networking event? I mean, I could see the LeGrand Coffee Shop blowing up where people talk their charity events, use it as a networking group, all sorts of stuff around the world. And it's all hosted by your coffee shop.
But best believe I already have plans on how I'm getting the community together, whether if it's my, schools in my hometown, book clubs, open mic night, like you said, events or networking events where people get together and plan out different business plans, just meet each other. Believe me, it's all in the Rolodex of ideas that I have, in the back of my mind right now for when our brick and mortar opens up in August of this year.
Love it, Eric. And I know we want to get into, we got to talk Broncos now in a little bit, I guess, here, but I want to start you off by the college world, place that you obviously were very well, you saw it firsthand, getting recruited, going into college. Obviously, some of these players that are coming in this year, I'm thinking about recruits this season, especially, right? Like for California that had no football, some states that had, delays or they played a minimal amount of games, maybe didn't play also. There is a lot of negativity that has been surrounded around the COVID-19 pandemic and everything that has kind of curtailed. Can you bring us through just from that perspective and how you think maybe some players have best been able to navigate some of these negative instances?
Yeah, as a player, I have a bunch of friends now and former teammates that are coaches, in their career, and talking with them and hearing how they're talking to the recruits. In the beginning, I just thought it was insane, like doing Zoom meetings for tours around the campus and meeting with the academic team and all this stuff. But I'm like, wow, a lot of these kids, yes, the negative side of it, they're missing the opportunity to see the campus. I remember when I was able to visit, UVA down in Charlottesville, going to Maryland and seeing Vernon Davis work out, and then going to visit Notre Dame and watching Brady Quinn work out for Pro Day. Stuff like that they didn't get to see. But the side of it, I think you really get to see now personally, what coaches really know how to develop a relationship with you. Now that you're not on campus with all the goodies, you can show them through Zoom. How can you develop a relationship with that coach now? How much can you're talking on a Zoom call? How much do they really care about you? Or are they giving you the car salesman? I think that's the advantage now where these kids can dissect that in their families to see what coaches are really real.
Yeah, and I actually covered Notre Dame athletics in a different podcast, and I will say, like, we're talking about kids now, and this is to your point, that are making commitments without ever being on campus. Like, for me, that is astounding to think about, because, like, for Notre Dame specifically, just to talk about them, like, that's a place where, like, you have to visit to really know, like, the special environment. I'm just working through this, man. I feel so bad for a lot of these athletes because I can't imagine ever making a college decision where I haven't even set foot and known that I was a part of this culture. I was the right person here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you mean because I remember going there and seeing all this stuff, and I can't imagine making this decision. And it's funny because it can be an advantage for some coaches, and then can be a disadvantage. I feel like these big powerhouses, they have all the glitz and glam and stuff, but it depends how much of these coaches really develop a relationship. Now, maybe take a step down, and those mid-level teams in the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC. Now they're really getting to, what? This person's not able to visit this campus or that campus. I got to take advantage of this relationship right here, and I can, sway this kid to commit to us because right now they don't get to go see the history of Notre Dame. They don't get to walk through the Coliseum, and down in USC. They don't get to see Alabama and all the national championships. So some of these colleges have to take advantage of that. And big ones, they're still going to get the top dogs, but hey, you might be able to sneak one here and there away.
It's funny you say that because Ryan and we were just talking to our first guest about this. It's crazy, this new portal. Like when I've been in the game 18, 19 years now. I mean, you guys weren't glimmers in your dad's eyes at that point when I got in. but for me, when I got in, it was just like, you didn't have this transfer portal. If a kid committed to the school, they were at that school and you could trace and track them, unless they got kicked out or they left to go to JUCO and then transfer out of JUCO somewhere else. It was a lot easier to track these young men. Now you have this transfer portal. So, I know Coach Shiano has done a good job of finding people in the transfer portal, getting them there. A lot of these college teams seem to be having these pro departments almost, to be able to monitor and manufacture good players out of the portal, JC transfers, and then, the high school recruiting has almost become like a draft where you're like drafting kid out of there for long-term, progression. What's your take on this transfer portal? Because you're close to it and you're close to Coach Shiano. I know that and everything. And he does a marvelous job of utilizing it, I think.
I think the transfer portal goes to show the evolution of the game of college football and how it grows and takes that next step. And the reason why I say that is because coaches sometimes get stuck in their ways and they don't learn how to adapt. With the transfer portal now, you can use that to your advantage, especially teams that are young or new coaching staffs trying to come in and rebuild a program. You have a lot of guys that, they're your guys now, but they're from the former staff. And obviously, if the former staff isn't there anymore, maybe the players weren't, living up to the standard that they needed to. With the transfer portal, you can get guys that have already played at high levels. May not, got the best playing time, but you can find some gems in that transfer portal. Bring them into your program if they fit as your guys, and have them as leaders to teach these young kids who, unfortunately might have been losing, and now they got these new guys coming in from all over the place, different colleges at high levels, and they know what it's kind of like being around a winning culture. That's the advantage I see where coaches need to evolve, and a lot of programs are doing it, especially new coaching staff coming in, using that to your advantage until you can recruit the guys that you need to come in there and develop them.
Mm-hmm. And Eric, do you think, kind of working from the other angle, because I think that some schools are utilizing the transfer portal very well, but I'm trying to think of like, so Eric LeGrand is a junior in college, right? Like, let's take it there for a second, and or a senior even, and we get a transfer now that was a high profile player. Maybe he's a senior. He's only going to be there for 1 year. Let's say, like, he's a grad transfer, right? Not even like a younger transfer, and he gets that immediate eligibility, obviously. Do you think there's any like kind of uneasiness for the veterans in the room, knowing like this guy's here for 1 year? That's it. He's coming to take my spot. He's coming to, disrupt our foundation. Like, do you think that ever comes into the equation?
That's the talk where you go to your dorm and talk about it.
Right.
That's dorm room talk when you're not at the facilities anymore and you're around your boys. And like, yo, man, this guy's really coming in to take my position, blah, blah, blah. Because when you get in a facility, if you go talk to your coach, it's like, I'm bringing in competition. You better you step up to the plate or you don't. You know what I mean? It's hard to have that conversation when I know you have your tight knit people, you bring them in, and then a veteran comes in and jumps in. It's like, who's this guy? You're looking at him sideways, like, I don't know about him. But that's where, like I said, that's the dorm room talk where you go back to your dorm and you share that amongst, your teammates. But at the same time, it just makes you have to step up your game because now you have more competition and maybe a sucky situation for you, but competition, breeds the best athletes and brings the best people in general.
All right, enough of this. Let's talk Broncos. So, enough of this goody two shoes. Let's all be a kumbaya moment. The Broncos, just do they have the quarterback of the future on their roster, or are they still looking in search of them?
Honestly, if they have a chance to get Deshaun Watson, you got to do that. You know what I mean? You trade away the picks. If you got the Drew Lock, Noah Fant type of deal, a few first-round picks, you have to do that. Deshaun Watson. If not, you got to give Drew Lock another year. And the reason why I say that is his rookie year, he played 5 games, right? I believe went 4-1 his rookie year. Mm-hmm. Last year, he loses. Obviously, Von Miller hurts his ankle, which I know is an offense defense, but that's your leader of the team. Hurts his ankle right before the season starts. Then guess what? Cortland Sutton goes down, tears his ACL. Now you're forced with Jerry Jeudy, who I can't wait to watch. That man running routes is, oh my God. But still, when he comes now, he has to step up into kind of that number one role. And some other guys are still like Tim Patrick jumping in there. And then you got KJ Hammer, a bunch of young guys. Noah Fant, young guy. Then you lose Alex O, rookie, young guy. I think the only team that had more injuries this year than the Broncos was the San Francisco 49ers. We were absolutely depleted. So at the same time, Garrett Bowles, finally our left tackle, finally showed up and balled out this year. The line is going to get better. Now you get all your weapons back. You have Melvin Gordon in the backfield, Phillip Lindsay. If you can stay healthy, I think you got to give Drew Lock another opportunity with all his guys. I mean, you got to compete against the Kansas City Chiefs twice a year. So everyone in our conference is trying to build for that, as you can see with the Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Broncos have the weapons to do it if they can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. No, and I agree. I think there's a really nice nucleus there for Denver. I mean, Jerry Jeudy was one of my guys last year. That was a top 10 player in the draft, in my opinion. Insane route runner. We saw how he ended the year, too. He had like 150 yards in his final game. So he's that guy, man. I'm telling you. And you mentioned Phillip Lindsay, who I know David had a nice opinion on coming out of Colorado over there as an undrafted free agent. So there's a lot of pieces. Garrett Bowles, like you said, finally hit that billing of that first round left tackle. So a lot of incredible things. And then in theory, we're getting Von back. I have to think, Eric, I mean, can this team with competent quarterback play, above average quarterback play, whatever it is, can they compete with the Kansas City Chiefs for the division?
I believe they do. They have to put some work on the defense, though. You got to see, are we going to be able to draft, as you guys were talking about, Micah Parsons out of Penn State? Will he still be available now? We have to trade up. Or do we get Patrick Surtain out of Alabama to lock up the corner position? And you got to sign Justin Simmons. My God, you can't let him get away. It's killing me because he's been a solid player for us in the back, and he knows what the defense is like. But we need to get better at corner. We need to get better at linebacker. Our defensive line, here and there, but get involved back to on the outside linebacker position, I think will be okay. But the main positions, is that corner and linebacker position where we need somebody that can lock up on the outside and fly around. Because I know you remember the no-fly zone defense that we had back in 2015, 2014, 15. Man, I used to get so hyped up for the games. He was going to score on us. But if they need to get back to that with our coach, who's a defensive mind coach, that's where we need to go at. You got to get that corner. And you got to get a stud linebacker.
Yeah.
See, when he was talking the old school, when he was talking old school Broncos, I started thinking Atwater and Smith.
Oh,
And,
Orange
I was
Crush. That's what
I was going back. Yeah, I was going back. I was like,
the Orange Crush right there. See, I became a Broncos fan, honestly, because of Terrell Davis. When I was a young boy, about 8 years old, watching a game, Broncos, I believe it was going during their Super Bowl run. I'm like, ooh, I like his style. I like the way Terrell Davis runs the ball. I like him. I'm going to follow him. Changed my number to 30, wore 30 my entire career until I got to high school. Until I got to college, and I changed to 52. But I watched him. I said, I'm going to follow this team at 8 years old. I like the Denver Broncos, and here I am at 30 years old. Die hard, still Denver Broncos fan.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Now, talking about life real quick. I know you work your butt off here, and you're trying to accomplish something big. When are we going to see you walk again? Because I know that's one of your big goals.
It is. I'm trying to do everything I can with my foundation, Team LeGrand of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, to find that cure for paralysis and continue to give hope to people, the 5.6 million people that are dealing with some sort of paralysis. There's so many things that happen with technology nowadays. I truly believe in my lifetime we'll be able to find a cure for this, terrible injury. And we'll be able to treat this hopefully like an ACL injury one day, where you get the surgery, you do your rehab, and you're back up on your feet walking. I don't know about when it's going to be, but I always like to say it's not if, it's when it's going to happen. I'm going to continue to do my best to raise awareness for people that are in similar situations as me, so we can live Christopher Reeve's dream, and that's a world with empty wheelchairs.
And how do we here at Mavericks align, ally, and support your efforts, your goals? What is it we can do to be a constant member of this Team LeGrand?
Well, you can go to our website, teamlegrand.org, and you can join our team, and you can make small donations monthly or one donation, and it's just all appreciated. I have so many different events that I have, pre-COVID, I had so many different events each year now, but now we have adapted and we do virtual 5K walks and runs, which we'll be having on this year in June. So ways to participate, just follow us on Team LeGrand on our social media page and to our website, and just be a part of the movement. I promise you, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know when, but it's going to happen.
I think that's a great way to end it, Eric. We really appreciate you so much. I know you just talked a little bit about all the work you're doing, but if you want to plug real quick, just social media or leave whatever you want to leave the people with. I know everyone thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. It was fantastic.
Well, like I said, you see my shirt here, LeGrand Coffee House. This is my new business endeavor. I would love for people to continue to support it. It's been amazing. We've been in business for 5.5 weeks, and it's taken off. And if people want to get a daily cup of believe that they need the inspiration, that motivation in your life, and just a reminder each day to go out there and attack your goals, I believe that's what our coffee will do for people. Just a daily reminder. If I'm fighting every day to live my life the way that I do and continue to help other people, you can do the same. So follow us on LeGrand Coffee House on our social media page, LeGrand Coffee on Twitter, and LeGrandCoffeehouse.com.
Fantastic. Eric LeGrand, again, former Rutgers football player, public speaker. He does a little bit of everything.
Broncos fan.
Right, Broncos fan.
In the building.
That's it, man. Eric, we'll have to do this again, man. This was a blast. This was maybe my favorite interview we've done on Mavs so far. We really appreciate you taking the time tonight.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eric.
Take care.
All right, again, that was Mr. Eric LeGrand. Fantastic conversation, David. I must say, and this is no hyperbole in the moment, in my opinion, that may have been my favorite interview that we have done here. I thoroughly enjoyed every part of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, Eric's so gracious to come on, stay up late. I mean, I mentioned him, he's at rehab every morning, working on and grinding and getting ready for that moment when he can, and technology catches up with his tenacity and his passion to walk again. And like he said, through the Christopher Reeves Foundation, their goal is, a life of life with no bodies in wheelchairs. So it's just so special to have him on, to be able to talk about everything he does each and every day. But like you said, when you introed him, most people, they walk into that opportunity or that adversity, and they find ways to fail the rest of their lives because they use it as a crutch. He doesn't. He takes it and it's a springboard. Okay, this is done. What's next? This is done. What's next? And again, he's so inspirational. I can't wait to have him back. We'll definitely get him back on the show. Now that I know he's a Broncos fan, I'm definitely gonna be giving him some jabs here and there, and we'll see during the draft if George and the crew get it right for him or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to again just thank Mr. Eric LeGrand for taking some time with us. I want to tell you all about an awesome event that is actually coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, February 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're talking about the 12th annual Hound Talent Inside the League Scouting Seminar presented by Magnolia Capitals Partners. It's going to be featuring 2020 Best Draft Award winners, Eugene Parker Lifetime Achievement Award. We have a lot of great people lined up for this event. It's going to be live streamed at si.com/NFL/draft. Make sure that you get inside into this event. Again, 12th annual Hound Talent Inside the League Scouting Seminar tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Make sure to reach out, NFL Draft Bible, Inside the League. We're a part of the event, and it's going to be absolutely outstanding. And I would definitely suggest you getting an inside look into 12th annual that Neil Stratton is a part of, and NFL Draft Bible is obviously a part of as well. So scouting seminar tomorrow.
It's awesome. It's a dozen years that Neil's been doing it. He hands out best agent awards, best scouting department awards. It's usually held at the combine, but this year, since there's no combine, it's gone virtual, like most of the stuff that we've talked about in 2020 and 2021. But it's really a feat that Neil's been doing this a dozen years, and it's just great that he recognizes a lot of the hardworking people in the industry that their names never see it in lights and they never get acknowledged. And they're just people that make this supply chain of personnel and people and opportunities keep it growing and going. So it's great to be part of that, and I can't wait to watch it tomorrow night. Now, Mr. Cassidy in the chat room, no, we're not old. They're just young. Okay. It's not that we're old. It's just that they are young. Understand that. No, we're not old. They are just very, very young. Naive. But let's not go there. Let's just say young, okay?
I'm not that young. I have gray hair, so I'm
gray hair.
I do have gray hairs. I do. I swear to God.
Those are just because you're dad now. Dad hair.
Nah, they've been there for a couple of years, man. This not to happen just in the last couple of weeks. They've been there already. So I would like to say that that's my excuse for why the gray hairs are there, but I cannot use that cop out, David.
Young dad. You're a young dad. We all. When I point to the salt in my beard and I tell my daughter, everyone is from you. Everyone before you, and then my son, I say, before you, Gregory, I had hair. Now, because I do this all the time, my hair's gone. So that's what you got to do. You got to use it to your advantage when you're a parent. You got to use it.
I'm never going to lose my hair. I'm always going to have my hair, so I'm not worried.
Okay, sure.
It's just the gray hair, just the gray hair apart. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see.
We will see. We will see. Someday when I'm pushing David Turner along, when he's
that's Dakota's job. That's
Dakota.
Okay. Don't take Dakota's job.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry, Dakota. I apologize if you're watching. Shout out to Dakota Follow. We want to answer a couple more mailbag questions before we get out of here. We're doing great on time, which is a one-time
rare
thing. Very rare. Very rare, to say the least. So, question here, David. If you missed the Prospect Profit podcast on the NFL Draft Bible live stream earlier today, you know that I asked the question. Okay, I asked the question to David to rank Jack Dispo, Alec Polito, and Lorenz Lineweber. I don't know how to say his last name, so Lineweber, I think. I'm going to go with that. Lineweber.
I just call them block letters.
Block letters. So I asked David to rank them based on likability. So when I asked for questions for tonight, of course, Jack Dispo gives me rank Jack, Alec, and Lorenz in terms of likability. So I get to answer this question now, I guess. So, David, I think yours was Lorenz, Alec, Jack, right?
Correct.
Okay. See, man, I don't want to give Lorenz like a compliment, though, do I? Like, Lorenz is a cool guy, though. So maybe I will. I don't know. All right, so we'll go Lorenz number 1. I'm gonna throw Jack a bone. No, I can't throw Jack a bone. Forget it. I'm going Alex 2, Jack 3.
Jack just got destroyed. Why you gotta do that to me? You know he was about to come out of his seat and be like, "Yes," and then you went, "No." Pull
He's
the
in the
rug
live
out.
stream though.
You're done.
He's in the chat room too. I'm sorry, Jack. Alex just, he helps me out a lot, like some social media stuff and some other stuff. So like, just bump him up a little bit. I mean, if Jack wants to volunteer his time to help me out in some capacity, then maybe that'll change.
Hey, Jack and I are working on some stuff that's gonna blow your doors. I'm telling you, Jack and I are
my doors.
They're gonna blow your doors. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, I appreciate Jack for throwing out the question. I'm sorry that I did not give you the answer you probably wanted, but we're going to move on to that and go back into some actual football. This one was interesting. This one was interesting. What is the trade package offer you would need to trade the Jaguars' #1 overall pick? Now, obviously, this one is, like, let's be honest here. Like, we don't know this unless we know what team is trading up, from what spot, all that good stuff. So let's hypothetically say, because Carolina Panthers is like the hot team, right? That everybody keeps talking about, that they might be the trade up partner.
They don't have enough capital to do it.
They probably don't, right? Like, what would it, like, hypothetical? This is very hypothetical, David. Like, what would it take to get up from 8-1 to snag Trevor Lawrence? Like, one, Jacksonville would never do that, because why would you give up on Trevor Lawrence to start off with? They would never do that. But hypothetical. Let's throw away that standard there.
I can think of a couple ways I would do it.
Urban Meyer. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, all right. So what would it take, David? How many first-round picks, players involved in this deal? Like, what in this fantasy world would it take, do you think?
Okay, so if you're depends on what spot, like you said, depends on what spot you're sitting.
8-1. Let's go 8-1. Let's say hypothetical, we're going 8-1.
The package at 8 is going to have to be ginormous because of the value that you're going to lose from 1 to 8. Okay, so back when I was in the draft room, one year we had an offer. We had the #1 pick overall. We had an offer from the 3 spot, spot to come over 2 and get to 1 and give us a 3. And they were also going to give us next year's 1 and that year's 2. So therefore, we were going to have 2 2s, and we're going to gain a 1 in the following year plus their 3. So we were basically getting two 1s and 2 and a 2 to come up over 1 spot, right? So that's closer to what you can get. And that's a reality, right? Like if someone from the 3 spots is trying to jump over, and you're going to lose the quarterback, but you're only going to pick up a few picks, that's inside the value when you're doing draft board math. Well, if you're coming from 8, you're going to probably wind up giving up 3 1s, this year's, and then 2 more, and either a dominant player or another pick.
Christian McCaffrey? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't give up McCaffrey if you're going for a quarterback, right?
Because running backs don't matter, baby. I heard you. Go ahead.
Yeah, running backs matter, so you got to keep them. But for me, like, okay, I would say, like, listen, if I'm the Oakland or the Raiders, right?
Yep. And
I want to go get another #1 pick, you can trade Carr and 3 firsts and then a second for this year. And that's 4 picks and a player. So they can have Derek Carr walk into the building, and then they can have their pick this year and their second-round pick this year, their first and second-round pick this year, and then the next 2 years the ones. So now that's a package where if you're, Jacksonville, you're listening, because you're giving up a young quarterback, but you're still getting a guy who's under 30, right? And you're getting a guy who's in the top 20 quarterbacks. Now, there's a lot of people in the Twitterverse that are going to come at me, but you know what I say? You guys don't know how to do math, but he's in the top 20 quarterbacks. And then you're also getting 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick to really build a team that's roster needs to be built. I mean, they have a lot of picks this year. They have a lot of cap room, so they have a lot of tools in their bag. But if I'm listening to a trade deal, that would have to be in the wheelhouse of the trade deal I would listen to.
Well, speaking of packages, great segue here. Speaking of packages, would you like some help with your high school athlete recruitment process? Maverick Sports Consulting is set up with our 19 years of relationship building that can not only evaluate your child's film to access their talent level, but we can also pick up the phone and make calls on their behalf to help gain them traction in the recruiting process. The hardest aspect of the recruiting process is often getting your film seen. Let us take that off of your plate and help you get your film in front of the decision makers. Go to mavericksportsconsulting.com today for more information. So last couple of questions we have here, David. It was another draft-centric question I'm looking for. Okay, so we saw last year, I felt like there wasn't a ton of movement, especially in the first round, because we were in a year where fully virtual draft, it was brand new. People were trying to navigate just that world, right? So now we're in the second year of the COVID process. I'm sure the draft is going to be virtual again, probably at this point. So the question here is, I think I just want to lay that out just for this question because I think it's interesting. How about anticipated trades, first trades, over under basically on number of first round trades? How many are we expecting? I'm expecting a lot more just off of that simple fact. We now have more of a basis of what to expect. But let's set a number here, David. How many trades are we going to have in this first round this year?
Under 4 and under.
All right, I'm going to set the over under. You tell me if you think it's more or less. Okay,
I just told you.
What? What'd you say? 4?
No, go ahead. I said a number.
If you didn't,
I said a number, but if you didn't hear it, go for it.
Did you say 4? Was that your number?
Yeah, I think it's 4 or under.
Okay, so you think 4 is the cap?
Yeah, and mainly because, and here's why:
Okay.
we don't have like all the medicals and stuff are going to be done outside of NFL personnel touching people. And so therefore it's like, you're going to take everything with a grain of salt. So if there's a player that checks your boxes and is medically healthy, I don't know teams are going to trade back or trade around because there might be others that have the first round talent that have other question marks, whether it's character or injury, and they haven't been able to be on campus to get the taste of that player and see him and shake their hand and kiss babies and do all that stuff. So I don't know if they really pass them if there's a player there, with the question marks that are coming. Second, third, fourth round, I think there's going to be a lot more trades. First round, to get that clean player, I think people are going to take the selection and not trade around.
Okay. All right. So you said 4 or less. Let's do a quick little. All right. I'm gonna stress that a little bit. Ready? I'm going to say the over-under is 3.5.
No, I think you'll get 4.
Well, no, so you would say over. You would say the over for 3.5.
Yes.
You would take the over. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how you do a half of a trade.
Well, no, that's the odds though, right? Like you get they'll say the over-under is 73.5 in a football game. Like you can't score 73.5. You're either going over or you're going under the 73.5. Does that make sense? Come on, you don't bet? You don't ever bet? All right, anyway. Cool. No. Last question of the night. Somebody asked, they said they're a huge fan of Paulson Adebo, which is a defensive back out of Stanford. Is he a casualty of prospect fatigue? Don't see much hype around him. So I will say this, just kind of putting the Paulson Adebo experience into context. 2019, outstanding season. They had 4 interceptions, 17 pass breakups, and they weren't pass breakups just because you're getting thrown at. It was pass breakups because dude was outstanding. Zone coverage, my dude has the best feel of maybe any corner in the draft. He is up there in that conversation. Great ball skills. He was recruited to play wide receiver at a lot of schools. And then 2020 comes around. Actually, I'm sorry, that was 2018. His great season. 2019 comes around, and he has a very underwhelming season. It was not the season you were expecting. You expected him to declare as a redshirt sophomore and to be in the draft last year in the 2020 NFL draft. And then the Pac-12 season goes, hey, there's not going to be a Pac-12 season. Then it comes back late. You're trying to figure out all the moving pieces. He decides to opt out of the season. So now you're left with 1 year of good tape, 1 year of not so great tape, and you're trying to figure out which player you're getting. For me, David, it's a tough conversation because the last time you saw Paulson Adebo, which is now over a year, he wasn't great, but then you did have a season of really nice film. So it is a tough conversation. I don't know
He's a
if you
4th round pick. That's where he is.
4th round. That's it, man. Like, there's no.
I mean, and personally, when you got a mixed bag of character like that, you don't know really what you're getting because you don't have a consistent year of film sitting there, and you value of a 4th round pick you can take on an early flyer if the measurables are there, and you have some good tape. Back into the 3rd, some team might take a flyer on him, but if you see him going above that, that means the market for other players at that position have fallen. Because right now you're banking too much on 1 year wonder, and that's just me. I can't do that. Other people in the industry do it, and I think you find more fails and more misses on those than hits. So I would say I wouldn't right now. I'd have him firm in the 4th, and one of my scouts who watched him would really have to convince me to go up on him. They would have to put some really good reasoning and stuff together for that. But I personally like our chat room right now because Dan Cassidy, he wants to know if
Would you? It's a good question.
Would you trade Ryan for a year's supply of the Grand Coffee and block letters? Yeah, I think I would.
Wow.
I want to get my hands on some of that Grand Coffee, and if I don't have to pay for it, I'm kind of, I'm a guy right now trying to make ends meet. That would be a year full of coffee. I might have to do that and bring block letters over from Germany, and he could stay on stay out in the backyard or something. Hose him off once a week, and then do a show with him.
That's funny.
And then Jack must have had a couple cocktails at dinner when he went
Had
to because he's on fire in the chat room right now. Over and under, how many quarterbacks are the Eagles taking in the first round? 1.5.
Jack, I might go under there. I might. I'll think about it. Maybe over. Maybe they'll take 2. Maybe they'll trade back they just took a quarterback in the 2nd round that they didn't actually need last year's draft. But who cares about that, right? Different conversation. All right. Well, in that note, we're through all the questions. We had 2 great interviews again with Quentin Miners and Eric LeGrand. Fantastic night on Mavs Sports Take. We want to thank everybody so much for joining us tonight. We want to thank Eric. We want to thank Quentin. I want to thank David Turner. This was a lot of fun. Before we do, we would appreciate a review. We would appreciate a share. We would appreciate a retweet. We would appreciate every support that you can give Mavs Sports Take here on every podcast platform. Go to Apple Podcasts. Give us a review. We really appreciate it. David Turner, as always, let you get the final word here.
I appreciate everybody coming on tonight. Obviously, that was an amazing night of interviews with Quinn and Eric and everybody. And what? It really just shows you adversity really brings out the character in everybody. And, what adversity you're hitting, what 2020 threw at you, what your personal life's hitting you with, whatever it is, there is a silver lining. It's hard to see through the fog sometimes, but don't let the fog set in so thick that you don't find the silver lining, because there is eventually. And like Ryan and I were talking about, a year ago today, we didn't know each other, and now we fight like an old married couple that have been, married for 30 years or whatever. And it's fun. And we enjoy each other, and we enjoy this road we're on together, from Mavs to Friday Night Scout School and everything we're doing at Draft Bible. So, again, find your silver lining. If you need help finding it, reach out to Mavericks. We can help walk you through any of these situations and get you on the right path. So thanks everybody for a great show. Thank you, Ryan, as usual. And everybody in the chat room, Jack, Cassidy, everybody, you guys made me howl tonight. That was awesome.
Yeah, awesome interaction. We appreciate you all again so much. As David said, MaverickSportsConsulting.com, NFL Draft Bible at si.com/NFL/draft. Would appreciate all the support that you all have given us and continue to give us. Thanking you again. Next week, same time, same place, 8:30 Eastern Time on the NFL Draft Bible live stream, Twitch, and YouTube. Thank you all. Have a great week.